If you take a look at recent history since the Second World War, something really remarkable has happened. First, human intelligence created two huge sledgehammers capable of terminating our existence, or at least organized existence, both from the Second World War. One of them is familiar. In fact, both are by now familiar. The Second World War ended with the use of nuclear weapons. It was immediately obvious on August 6, 1945, a day that I remember very well. It was obvious that soon technology would develop to the point where it would lead to terminal disaster. The scientists certainly understood this. In 1947, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists inaugurated its famous doomsday clock. You know, how close is the minute hand to midnight? And it started 7 minutes to midnight. By 1953, it had moved to 2 minutes to midnight. That was the year when the United States and Soviet Union exploded hydrogen bombs. But it turns out we now understand that at the end of the Second World War, the world also entered into a new geological epoch. It's called the Anthropocene, the epoch in which humans have a severe, in fact, maybe disastrous impact on the environment. Moved again in 2015, again in 2016. Immediately after the Trump election, late January this year, the clock was moved again to 2.5 minutes to midnight. Right. Closest it's been since '53. So there's the two existential threats that we've created, which might, in the case of nuclear war, maybe wipe us out. In the case of environmental catastrophe, severe impact. And then a third thing happened. Beginning around the 70s, human intelligence dedicated itself to eliminating, or at least weakening, the main barrier against the threats. It's called neoliberalism. There was a transition at that period from the period of what some people call regimented capitalism, 50s and 60s, the great growth period, egalitarian growth, a lot of advances in social justice and so on.
Social democracy, in effect.
Yeah. That's sometimes called the golden age of modern capitalism.
Right.
That changed in the 70s, and with the onset of the neoliberal era that we've been living in since. And if you ask yourself what this era is, its crucial principle is undermining mechanisms of social solidarity and mutual support and popular engagement in determining policy. It's not called that. What's called is freedom. But freedom means subordination to the decisions of concentrated, unaccountable private power. That's what it means. The institutions of governance or other kinds of association that could allow people to participate in decision-making, those are systematically weakened. Margaret Thatcher said it rather nicely in her aphorism about there is no society, only individuals. She was actually, unconsciously no doubt, paraphrasing Marx, who, in his condemnation of the repression in France, said the repression is turning society into a sack of potatoes. Just individuals, amorphous mass, can't act together. That was a condemnation. For Thatcher, it's an ideal. And that's neoliberalism. Well, what does that do? The one barrier to the threat of destruction is an informed, engaged public acting together to develop means to confront the threat and respond to it. And that's systematically weakened consciously. I mean, back to the 1970s, we've probably talked about this. There was a lot of elite discussion across the spectrum about the danger of too much democracy and the need to have what was called more moderation in democracy, not for people to become more passive and apathetic and not to disturb things too much. And that's what the neoliberal programs do. So put it all together, and what do you have? A perfect storm.